Come with me if you want to live.
Are you not entertained? Is that why you are here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
Hello and welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it. Don't get scared now. And thanks for joining me once again, where we can talk about and answer anything and everything you guys want to regarding movies. But first, and most importantly, I do want to put out this announcement. I do have a super chat goal tonight. It might be fun. It might be slightly insulting to some people, but I'm not quite sure. If we do hit 50 super chats tonight on this program, and I will call it a program, I will destroy Joker 2 on 4K. Whatever method of mayhem you want, I will destroy this because it just feels like it needs to happen. So, if you would like to see the destruction of one of the worst sequels ever made, well, just get me to 50 super chats tonight. If not, we can savor the flavor for another day. But the first main topic I want to talk about tonight, before we dive into all the questions, I want to talk about the Batman 2 being delayed until 2027. Now keep in mind, that will be 5.5 years after the initial release of the Batman. Now like it or hate it, I quite enjoy it. I just put out a tweet about the movie. Some people got very angry at me that I said Matt Reeves sort of borrowed inspiration from the movie Seven from 1995. I just thought it was sort of blatantly obvious. But with all that said, let's talk about the delay and maybe what that means for the future, or some of the conspiracy theories that I have floating around in my head. And feel free to share your conspiracy theories on maybe why the Batman 2 was delayed an extra year. And I have a lot to say about this. And by the way, I am in fact wearing my Batman leather jacket straight from China. That's why it's a little too tight on me. I think people in China have more narrow shoulders. I'm not quite sure. Or maybe this was made for a child and I'm wearing it, but it makes me feel good about who I am and what I'm doing in life. But it feels really good. It's really cheap leather, but nevertheless, I like the way it looks. Okay, so let's talk about the Batman here. All right, here we go. So, it's been confirmed by James Gunn himself that the Batman 2 is delayed from October 2nd, 2026 until now, October 1st, 2027. And I think the biggest villain in all of this, Batman's greatest villain of all time, is simply Matt Reeves has writer's block. Or at least that's what the reports are saying. All right, so let's dive into this a little deeper here. And by the way, I have a lot to say about James Gunn as well, but we will also get into that momentarily as well. Okay, so let's talk about what James Gunn is saying here. And let's fix that there. Okay. So it's been a 5-year gap, and really there was a lot of complaints on Twitter about the time span between the original and the sequel to the Batman. And James Gunn came back with this tweet right here. And, you know, I guess that's a fair take. Some sequels take a lot longer than they should. But going in to the Batman, they knew that they wanted to make a sequel. We knew that we were getting a sequel, and it was greenlit almost immediately after the theatrical release of the Batman. So there's no reason that it should be this postponed. And I put out a tweet earlier today that more or less said that The Dark Knight took 3 years, The Dark Knight Rises took 4 years, and in between all that, Christopher Nolan was directing other huge movies. So why does the Batman 2 take 5.5 years? What are your conspiracy theories on this? Please share them down below. I want to know. All right, let's hide this. Sorry, using a new software tonight. It's a little crazy. Let's get back to the live show here. Oh, where did I go? There we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, I'm back. So what are your conspiracy theories on this? Now, this is basically one extra year that we have to wait. But my theory on this is the Batman 2 ever actually going to come out? Is Matt Reeves actually working on a script? Or is there a possibility, now keep in mind, this is all speculation from my stupid brain to you. I'm just some guy who talks about movies on the internet, who has a drill in his hand. Maybe I'm a bit insane, but we'll get there a little bit later. I hope we do. My theory on this is, I think that James Gunn, with his upcoming DCU and with the upcoming Superman movie coming out next summer, I almost feel like Warner Brothers is at a standstill with doing an entire separate Batman universe. And what I mean by that is, I feel like they want to wait and see how well Superman performs at the box office. And if it's successful, I feel like that'll dictate what we do with the next Batman live action movie. Because keep in mind, originally we were told we're getting a Batman the Brave and the Bold, which would be an entirely different incarnation of Batman in James Gunn's universe, and I'm really looking forward to that. And also, I love me some Batman. If you want to have a Robert Pattinson Batman movie and then a separate Batman universe in the James Gunn DCU, I'm okay with that. But there are reports saying that James Gunn actually wants to take Robert Pattinson's Batman and shoehorn him into his universe and somehow make that work. And for me, I feel like the tone that we've already gotten with Matt Reeves' Batman, I just don't feel like that. Like, for me, that's too big of a pill to swallow. I just don't buy that incarnation of Batman existing besides Superman in any capacity whatsoever. Now, I'm not saying that it couldn't work, but you would basically have to undo all the logic and reality that we got in the Batman from 2022, undo all of that, and basically force that version of Batman alongside with Superman. And I'm just not buying that. So my speculation is they sort of want to drag this out and eventually cancel the movie. That's where I'm afraid to say it, but I feel like that's where we're going with it. Now, if we do in fact get a sequel in 2027, which will be 5.5 years afterwards, and it just seems like maybe Matt Reeves could use some writing help or whatever it would help to propel that movie to go a little bit quicker. The rumor is right now, I believe it's going to start filming next summer, but I don't have a lot of faith in that. I really don't buy into that actually happening. So I think with James Gunn's universe, he wants to alter things so much that Matt Reeves doesn't want to write that version of Batman 2 any longer. And I feel like, and once again, this is just speculation from my stupid head to you, but I feel like Matt Reeves is being told to take his Batman in a different route than he originally intended. And maybe he's putting his heels down, and maybe that's causing some of the delays. Or maybe he's being forced to write Superman into this movie or Batman into the James Gunn universe of things. Either way, if that's the case, I don't like that whatsoever. Like I said, just keep Matt Reeves' Batman solo. He can do his own thing. Let him make another movie. Have Batman 2 be the finishing point of that story, though we were supposed to get a trilogy. And I think the ultimate thing for everybody would be if they could film part 2 and part 3 back to back and then release them. I think that would be the wisest choice. But I think by the time we get to Batman 3 for Matt Reeves in another 40 years, I feel like Robert Pattinson at that point will be too old to be called the young Batman. And keep in mind, at this point, Robert Pattinson, when the sequel comes out, will in fact be older than Christian Bale was in The Dark Knight Rises. Let that statistic blow your hair back. Utterly insane, isn't it? But feel free to chime in. Let me know what you guys are thinking about all of this. Luke O'Neill says, "Don't hate me. I don't think Batman 2 will happen." And I'm right there with you, man. I almost don't feel like it's going to happen. I think if Superman next summer is a huge box office success and people accept it and they're praising the high heavens and it gives them hope, I feel like Warner Brothers is going to cut ties with the Batman 2 and it's never going to come to fruition. Because that feels like a lot of wasted time and effort into developing a Batman who's actually not going to that's not going to matter beyond that second movie. If you don't utilize Robert Pattinson in the future with James Gunn's universe, then really you're kind of like you're appeasing a large demographic of people who want a sequel, but ultimately it seems like a lot of wasted effort when you should be putting your effort into a Batman that matters for another 5 or 6 installments of a movie in a shared universe. So I'm selfish. I want me some Robert Pattinson once again as Batman. Don't get me wrong. But if they have to bastardize this movie and tweak it and change it to co-align with anything that James Gunn's doing, I don't want that version of a Batman movie. I really don't. That undoes everything that I liked about this version. It's seedy, it's dark, it's basically like Seven meets Batman, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love me some dark seediness. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Let me know. Luke O'Neill says, I agree, Batman and Seven are similar. Absolutely, they're very similar. Jedi Knight of the Tifa cult says, for what it's worth, Man of Steel gives me the tingles and makes me feel like watching the SWOT as a kid. Well, absolutely, man. I love me some Man of Steel. I really do. That's another sequel that we were promised for many, many years from Warner Brothers, and somehow, in some way, they just could never give it to us. They gave us everything except for that. They took Superman and put him in a whole bunch of terrible movies, but they just couldn't give us a Man of Steel sequel, and that's all we wanted. What a waste of Henry Cavill, okay? But I like David Cornsweet. I do. But he will never have the muscle definition of Henry Cavill. Let's all just take a moment and close our eyes and reminisce about Henry Cavill's pecs in Man of Steel when he came out of that cold, dark waterfront area and he stole clothes off of some poor person's clothesline, and then he went on with his day. I will never forget that. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on the upcoming Batman delay. I'm very upset, but I feel like there's more to this story that Warner Brothers and James Gunn are not telling us. And as far as James Gunn defending how much time this is taking, maybe he's just looking out for Matt Reeves. Maybe Matt Reeves is in fact having a writer's block and he can't quite get the perfect story down. But man, just it's kind of like now or never. I feel like he had, and if he is allowed to make this one last attempt at a Batman movie or one last sequel for a Batman movie, then hurry up, man. Come on, give us what we need. I know art takes time, but you've had 5.5 years. How did you not have an outline for this movie when the Batman came out in 2022? It baffles my brain, but nevertheless, let's keep going. Someone said, no, John, that's gay. It's gay to think about another man's pecs with amazing muscle definition and vascularity? That's gay? Well, so be it. Don't tell my wife. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. Yeah, Henry Cavill should be the new Wolvie. I would have liked that too. I liked his cameo in Wolverine and Deadpool. And I would be completely complacent with that. John Tennant says, the only thing good about the Batman 2 delay is the new release date of October 1st, 2027. It's my 27th birthday. First one came out March of 2022. I was 21. Well, happy birthday to you, but I'm 50-50 on if that movie actually does in fact ever come out. I feel like when you keep delaying a movie, I feel like they're just dragging their feet to hold out to see how Superman does next summer. And if it does really well, I'm just putting it out there right now, I highly doubt we're getting Matt Reeves the Batman. I feel like they're waiting to start production on that movie until this summer once Superman comes out. Just my thoughts and opinions on it. All right. The next main topic I want to talk about today is we finally know what Christopher Nolan's next movie is going to be. There's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of speculation. We at one point thought it was going to be a vampire movie from the 1920s. And then we thought it was going to be a futuristic helicopter action movie. And both of those sound pretty good to me, but now today we finally know what it is. And by today, I mean last week, but it's been a few days since I've done a live show, so bear with me. So the next Christopher Nolan movie is going to be The Odyssey, which is a classic piece of literature by Homer that is divided between 24 different books, preceded by some other stuff along the way. Basically, what it is, after the Trojan War, there's a 10-year story about one man going back home to Ithaca, and this is the journey that he goes on. So I'm looking forward to an epic sword and sandals movie. I love them. It stars Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, Robert Pattinson, Batman is back again, and Charlize Theron. Talk about a cast. That gets my juices flowing nevertheless. All right, so this to me was unexpected but very welcomed for a Nolan movie. And if he can shoot some of the sequences that happen in the Odyssey, which is a very famous piece of literature that I remember hearing about in high school, but that's about all I remember hearing about it. I put my head down a lot in high school and did a lot of drugs, so I don't remember much, but I vaguely remember this being a very epic story. So I'm looking forward to this. And now imagine some of the sequences shot in IMAX. Oh, just give it to me now. I need this. And I feel like that's one genre we don't get enough of from Hollywood. Now, you could make the claim that we just got one from Hollywood, a little movie called Gladiator 2, which I absolutely hate everything about it. I think it took something that was a masterpiece and turned it into nonsensical digital noise that will be instantly forgotten about in another 2 weeks. But hey, some kids liked it and enjoyed it. And if you want to watch shitty CGI monkeys in a battle arena with rhinoceroses that look like cartoon rhinoceroses, whatever. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hated the movie. I hated everything about it. And it felt like a waste of Denzel Washington. And I really think Ridley Scott has lost his mind. I just don't think he cares anymore about the craftsmanship of filmmaking. I think he just wants to hold a digital camera, shake it around, and they'll fix everything in post-production and slap it on a screen and say, give us $20 for a movie ticket. Here you go. So with all that said, I'm looking forward to the new Christopher Nolan epic. And as a dude who loves the 2004 film Troy, you sack of wine, more than I probably should, this is ultimately basically the sequel of Troy. It picks up right afterwards. And that to me is really exciting. So what do you guys think about the new Odyssey film from Christopher Nolan? And by the way, this comes out July 17th, 2026. So we only have a couple years. And it's odd that somehow, some way, Christopher Nolan is writing, directing, filming a huge epic all in the time span that they're still working on the script for the Batman 2. It better be the best sequel of all time. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, the cast alone looks amazing. I think it's going to be an awesome movie. I'm hoping it is at least. So what do you guys think about the Odyssey? Share your thoughts, your opinions down below. And we can talk all about it. But that's exactly what I want to see from Christopher Nolan at this point. It almost feels like Nolan is probably going to make at least one movie in every genre that he loves before he retires. And this is going to be his epic sword and sandals flick. Luca O'Neill says, what's the new IMAX tech for Odyssey? Love me some IMAX. I have no clue on what the new tech is going to be, but I'm fairly certain Christopher Nolan will utilize every IMAX camera that exists on the planet, and he'll probably accidentally break half of them while filming the Odyssey, but small price to pay for glory. Chase C says, Joker 2 is a piece of poop. I felt insulted. Well, listen, if we can get to 50 super chats, we're at 18 right now. I will take this abomination against humanity known as Joker 2, and I will destroy it on camera for all of you to witness and see. But before I do that, maybe I can give one lucky someone the digital code. I don't need to waste everything about this, but keep in mind, the studio sent me this, and I just feel like this is my only way I can promote this movie at this point. And by the way, I did go back and rewatch this after I put out a review for the movie, and I couldn't get through the first 20 minutes. I tried, I wanted to, but knowing where it goes just made me sad inside. It made me feel like a sad clown. And I don't want to feel like a sad clown, so that's why I'm going to take this drill and put it right through I'll put it right through Lady Gaga's eye socket right here. You feel that? You're not singing and dancing now, are you? Oh, you're going to pay. You're going to pay. So anyway, I figured I'd put my power tools to use tonight. All right, so let's dive into your questions. Those are my quick thoughts. Those are the two main topics I wanted to get out there. And by the way, yeah, the more you talk about the Odyssey from Christopher Nolan, it truly feels like after he watched Dune, he's like, okay, people want to see a movie like this. Let's make it. And it'll be a slightly less sci-fi and take place 5,000 years in the past, but nevertheless, I'm looking forward to it. but both of them do star Zendaya. Okay, let's go to the next question here. And this one comes from Ty Holder, who says, John, you're the best. Been watching for 10 years now. Have you seen Nosferatu yet? And if you did, how'd you like it? I did see Nosferatu, and I think it's a really good adaptation. Now, keep in mind, if you've seen Bram Stoker's Dracula from the early 90s, or you've seen remakes of Nosferatu from, I believe, the late 70s, early 80s, this adaptation is pretty much on the nose. Now, they do switch a few things around. I will say this about Robert Eggers. There's a lot. I like his movies. I really do. I think very few of them have rewatchability. Like, I don't go back and rewatch The Lighthouse over and over again, though I quite enjoyed the experience of watching it in the theater. And I like him as a filmmaker and a craftsman of his art, because he still shoots movies on film. He uses the proper lenses. It's a very immersive experience. And I think that's the biggest praise I can give Nosferatu is it's a very immersive experience. You definitely feel like you're in the 1800s. And when you go to Nosferatu, Count whatever, I forget his name. Anyway, when you go to his castle, his very medieval castle in Transylvania, I loved that. And I wish this movie would have taken more liberties and tried to be a bit different than the original. And keep in mind, I did watch the original Nosferatu from the early 1900s. I watched it in college, and I remember a lot about it. I just remember the I remember the special effects at the very end of the movie where he just fades and there's like random smoke. It looks like someone put their cigarette on the floor, and that's what happened to Nosferatu when the sun came up. Anyway, this new adaptation is very much similar to every other version of Nosferatu you might be aware of. And for me, I was hoping, and maybe they were afraid to offend people or disappoint people, but I felt like now was the time to switch a few things up. I'm not saying you got to make it completely crazy where, Nosferatu works as an Uber driver, right? And it stars Lady Gaga and they start dancing around and it becomes a musical. I'm not saying take that amount of liberty with it. I'm just saying maybe we could have taken a bit more time in certain places and settings in the movie. So when they go to Nosferatu's castle, they're only there for like 15 or 20 minutes. And I wanted more time there to explore that, to get more backstory on how he evolved and how his lifestyle is. I wanted more insights to that. Like, what do you do when you're laying in your his coffin? Not a sarcophagus. That sounds completely insane. Anyway, sarcophagus. What am I looking for? What is the term I'm looking for? Anyway, I wanted more insight to like how he goes to sleep, how he wakes up, what does he do during the day? Does he play like Xbox? What does he do all day? I wanted more of that. I always thought that would be more fascinating. Anyway, but I did like the movie quite a bit. I enjoyed it. It might make my top 10 of the year, but the truth be told, I don't see myself going back to rewatch this over and over again. No, not a coffin. Not a coffin. What the fuck do vampires sleep in? It just says coffin. I thought there was another term for it. Anyway, I thought there was something more complex here I was looking for. Well, either way. But I did enjoy Nosferatu. I did enjoy it. Best movie of the year? Probably not. Not for me. A casket? That's not it either. That's not what I was looking for. Anyway, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. It was a good vampire flick. It stayed true to what it should, but I was hoping that it could have tweaked a few things along the way. Sarcophagus. Yeah, that's it. That sounds good. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. All right, the next one comes from Luke O'Neill. Oh, we answered that. Saul says, what is your most anticipated movie of 2025, or are you going to make a video for that? I'm going to make my most anticipated movies of 2025. There's a lot on the list, but also, like one off the top of my head, since we've already talked about it, I'm looking forward to Superman. I really am. If you want sort of a big superhero comic book movie, it looks like it'll be a fulfilling time. But Nathan Fillion, his wig as Green Lantern is sort of a turn off a little bit, but I want to see it for all the wrong reasons. But I'm looking forward to the Smashing Machine starring The Rock, based on a UFC fighter. I think that'll be like hopefully a return to form for The Rock. Maybe he's not just playing The Rock in this movie in another bloated big CGI movie where he needs to save Santa Claus. He's actually playing a human character, and plus it's an A24 movie. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Smashing Machine. There's a few other movies I'm looking forward to, but I will make a video all about it. What are you guys looking forward to in 2025? Let me know. I'll read some of the comments right here down below. Okay, we're halfway there to destroying Joker 2. Just let's get there. I want this to pay the price it deserves. Don't you want it to pay? Oh, you're going to pay. You're going to pay. Okay. All right, let's keep going. I'll put that down now. Okay. All right. The next one comes from Skylar Wheelock, who says, clearly, we aren't being told everything about Batman 2. Probably creative differences, especially when you consider the look and feel of Reeves' film versus Gunn's film. Damn, I'm going to be in my mid-30s by the time this movie comes out. I'm going to be almost 40 years old. Nothing hits harder than knowing the next Batman sequel comes out when you're almost 40 years old. That hurts me inside. Another 2.5 years to wait? No, thank you. It's like, Matt Reeves, do you need some help? What do you need, man? Use ChatGPT. Do whatever it takes to get this movie done. Like, you had no other ideas. For the last 3 years, you didn't have any other ideas. You could just pin on a piece of paper. like, what are you still working on? What do you need help with? But then again, maybe he wants to make it a masterpiece. And I get that. I really do, right? I will respect the process, but damn it, hurry up, please. I really do believe, like you said, there are some creative differences that aren't being mentioned publicly, because why would they? And I really think Matt Reeves is put into a corner where he has to change a lot about his film, or he basically is being told, well, your movie's not going to happen. But you know what I say to that? Here's what I say to that. If you don't want Robert Pattinson as your Batman for your upcoming DC universe from James Gunn, if you don't want that, and if the Batman 2 somehow takes away from that, okay, I can understand all of that. But here's an alternative route. Why don't you allow Matt Reeves to make a 10-part episodic, high-budget Max series to give us a finale to Robert Pattinson's Batman? That would be fulfilling to me, and it might even be better. But I highly doubt they would ever do that, but I'm just putting it out there. I think that would be a really good alternative. That would be completely fulfilling, but it would also separate this incarnation of Batman from another. This Batman lives on HBO Max or whatever, plus the Penguin series is already there. People love that. That could be a good way to wrap up the series. Throw a lot of money at it. I'd be okay with it. If I can't have the movie, I'd rather have an episodic series about the character Batman. But I doubt that's the route they're ever going to go. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Chris Ripsky Art, who says, "What's up, John? First super chat, big fan, 13, break it." Oh, since 13. Well, that's 11 years. I can do math. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. And I definitely will take that contribution into destroying this piece of, I don't want to call art. And it does break my heart to destroy physical media. But in a way, I feel like I'm doing society a favor. If I destroy this, that's one less copy that exists. Okay, well, thanks, man. Luke O'Neill says, "Don't hate me. I don't think Batman 2 will happen." I did talk about that earlier. I completely agree. I think it's 50-50 right now. Junior says, "John, are you against circumcision?" Absolutely not. Matter of fact, I'm all for it. There you go. Okay. That's my political statement of the night. Carter Lovejoy. Carter Lovejoy says, John, why not just sell the 4K Joker 2? I'd rather get some money off of it than butcher it to shards. That's just my opinion. Well, you see here, Carter Lovejoy, if I were to sell this, I'd get like $3. But what I can do tonight, and what will transcend time and space, this movie's a symbol. It's a symbol of everything you don't do with a sequel. It's a symbol of what you don't do to fans of your film and your franchise. This is a big slap in the face to all of them. This is a pretentious pile of garbage that needs to be destroyed. And if I can do that on camera, well, that will live on forever. And by destroying this symbol of injustice, that is way more valuable than ever selling it for $3. It's like giving away my pride for $3. No, thank you. This must be destroyed at all cost. Okay, let's go to the next one here. If it was another movie, I'd probably sell it, though. Okay. The next one comes from Elliot Cecil, who says, Gunn is an egotistical maniac. I think he's delaying the inevitable of canceling it for his own gain. And that's a very fair point. And going back to the conspiracy theories, if they were to cancel the Batman 2 right now, what would that do PR-wise for James Gunn's universe? That would be nothing but a negative impact. You'd have all the hardcore Batman fans crying and complaining, and I would be one of them. I would be one of them crying on X, okay? And that would basically take away the positive promotion that the Superman trailer is receiving and undo all of that. So by saying we're delaying it an extra year, it gives them another 6-7 months to actually make the announcement that they're going to cancel it or go a radically different direction. And I feel like that's the way they're going. Once again, I think they're just waiting for the box office numbers and the critical response to the Superman movie next summer. And as soon as that happens, we will know for a fact if the Batman 2 is actually going to happen. And I feel like it's probably not going to. It just feels like a lot of money and time and effort to throw into something that they're not going to capitalize on later unless they truly make Robert Pattinson the new Batman for James Gunn's DC universe. Which I don't know. I don't know. Unless they do like a multiverse and they bring another Robert Pattinson Batman from another planet and they bring him here, and that could work, but then we're getting really convoluted for the sake of being convoluted. So I say just, I don't know. There's something else happening, and they're lying to us. Don't believe anything you hear, okay? All right, let's go to the next one here. If it comes from a corporation, they're probably lying. Okay, the next one comes from Jordan Kudajar, who says, would you like to see Matt Reeves the Batman in James Gunn's DCU and remove Brave and the Bold entirely? I would not. And going back to what I said earlier, I like Robert Pattinson's Batman in the universe he's in right now. That simplistic, bare bones version, that's what I like, that's what I need. It feels right. If we were to deviate from that, it doesn't feel sincere and it feels disingenuous after that. It just feels like they're forcing something where it shouldn't be. So for me, I'd rather see them just cast a new Batman for Brave and the Bold and just do something completely different where you can have a larger, more fantastical version of Batman. And you don't have to explain away why we had a more grounded version in another movie, and this new incarnation is nothing like that. But then again, maybe there could be a time jump to some degree, and maybe this is... it just feels like it's getting convoluted either way. But I'm really curious to see what they say after Superman comes out, if they're actually making the sequel. Because, once again, they said they're supposed to shoot it this summer, and I just don't see that happening. All right, let's go to the next one here. Rex says, is AMC A-List worth it? I do not have AMC A-List. I do have the Regal Crown Club Super Duper subscription service. What is it called? Regal Club? I don't know. But I pay $21 a month. I can see all the movies I want, and I definitely get my money's worth out of it. And the other cool thing is, and I think this applies to AMC and Regal, is if you do sign up for the membership, you also get to go see Mystery Movie Monday screenings, and it's once or twice a month. And what they have is a mystery movie, and they play it randomly on a Monday, and you don't know what the movie is. It's usually like a smaller movie that they want more traction for. So they invite audiences to go see it so they can help spread the word of mouth. Like the last mystery movie I saw, and if you're a member to this subscription service to either, you can go see the Mystery Movie Mondays. And I think that's one cool positive about it. It's like one extra benefit. But the last mystery movies that they had were, what was it, like September 5th, that movie about journalists during the terrorist attacks during the Olympics. And then the one before that was The Order, starring Nicholas Hoult. So it's kind of a cool thing. So I would say it's worth it. If you just see 2 movies a month with that membership, it pays for itself. Rex says, what are some old films you love, 1940s to 1960s? I like 12 Angry Men. Wizard of Oz came out in 1939, so that's a little bit before the 1940s. I like some Hitchcock films. What else came out in the 50s and 40s? I'm trying to think of something else. I like Ben-Hur. I think that's a pretty epic movie that still holds up. I like classic films, especially in the 50s and 60s, shot on like 70 millimeter. I think they still look beautiful and hold up to today. But like 12 Angry Men is one that always stood out to me. I remember watching that during a college class and really liking the courtroom drama of it all. So those are a few. And of course, like going back to Hitchcock, I like movies like Psycho, for example, though it's been a very long time since I've seen it. But for me, a majority of the movies I love started being produced and filmed in like the 70s. I sort of like the 70s era of cinema a bit more. And then going into the 80s. Clark Ingleton says, Jedi Survivor PS5 is a magical and mystical and makes me feel better about who I am and what I'm doing in life. What are we talking about? Anyway, so don't just look at it, eat it with steady hands, don't get scared now. Well, thank you for all my glorious catchphrases echoed back at me. Jedi Survivor PS5 is magical and mystical? Is that a game? I don't know. All I know is Rocket League and Warzone, and both of them make me very angry inside. All right. By the way, this leather jacket is really getting hot. I feel like this leather jacket from China was made out of recycled tires. All right. All right, the next one comes from Mark Hickey, who says, John, my boy, can we get a Nicolas Cage and Longlegs impression? It would make our year. I got my long legs on. By the way, speaking of Nicolas Cage and Longlegs, am I the only one who just wanted more from that? Like, I feel like they did not push the limitations of where they should have pushed it, and I feel like that's a testament to modern day cinema truly being afraid to push limitations to offend anyone. And diving deeper into it, if you want to make the comparison of Longlegs and Silence of the Lambs, why couldn't they show more brutality? Why couldn't they show him doing something dark and sinister? Why couldn't they show him locking some small child up in a cage in his basement? You know, just push the limitations. Don't just show me you standing there all weird and bizarre looking like you have too much Botox in your face. I want more than that. Okay? Am I the only one? Okay, let's go to the next question here. John Tennant says, the only thing good about the Batman 2 delay is the release date. Oh, we answered that already. Elliot Cecil says, Rob is going to be 41 when 2 comes out, and by then he's no longer a young Batman. He will be 45 in the third, the same age as Affleck. Yeah, like I said earlier, Robert Pattinson, he's going to be in his mid-40s, or early 40s with the next installment. Now, keep in mind, he doesn't look as old as Christian Bale. He looks a little bit younger. And could I buy him still being a guy in his 30s? Absolutely. Okay, it's fine. But I don't think we're ever going to see Batman Part 3 from Matt Reeves. I feel like if we get 2, we're lucky. And even then, I feel like we're probably not going to get it. But I agree with you. He is aging out of the role. And it's Warner Brothers wasting another great casting choice, isn't it? Skylar Wheelock says, my biggest question about the Odyssey is Nolan always cares about making the story seem real and shooting everything practically. How the hell do you tell a story in that way that's so mythical and fantastic since he's so big on practical effects? Well, I think they'll utilize a little CG where they have to, but I think there's also a way to make it practical in a sense. But if they have like some of the close-up shots, maybe you can do practical things, which will add a little flavor to it. But I agree with you. Isn't there like witches and one-eyed giants in this story? And that is an interesting question. How do you really showcase that in live action if you don't want to use CGI? But Nolan has utilized CGI when it's needed. And I can see them doing that. But just know, if he does have to do that, it'll be very limited. And it won't feel like this, I guess you could say, it won't feel like a Michael Bay Transformers movie where it's blatantly in your face and you can just feel the CGI dripping through the screen, right? It'll be very subdued when it needs to. So that's another reason I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious how he gets away with making this movie. But I have faith. I do have faith. All right, the next one comes from Luke O'Neill, who says, what's the new IMAX tech for Odyssey? We answered that earlier. Chase C says, Joker 2 is a piece of poop. I felt insulted. I think a majority of us all felt insulted. I really do. The next one comes from Andy Kumar, who says, you sack of wine. Do you think Chris Stuckman is gay? I mean, he sort of admitted that he was pansexual, which would allude to being somewhat attracted to the same sex. So he made a video about this like 5 years ago. So yeah, man. All right. The next one comes from, I was trying to think how I could elaborate on that question, to be honest with you. And I was like, he made a video, so I don't know what else to say about that. Is it not a factual statement at this point? Okay, Dustin Rich says, I completely agree that you need moisture when wiping. Have you ever approached to be the spokesman for a brand of wet wipes? I don't know if I should be the face of anyone telling you how to wipe your ass. I really don't. But then again, if I did come out with my own brand of wet wipes, have you guys ever seen Ryan's Toys, that little YouTuber kid whose parents forced him into working as his child and his childhood years and youth away to like make little junky YouTube videos that children watch? But anyway, my point being is, when you look at Ryan's Toys, when you walk through Walmart, and it's a big bucket of junky toys that cost like $30 that were made in China for $1.99 and probably have asbestos on them. His face is like this on all of his toys. And I feel like if I sold wet wipes, that's how I would want my face on the wet wipes. And every wet wipe would have my face on it. But I do agree with you. And an important PSA for everyone watching right now, because sometimes I like to talk about other things than movies, is I really need you guys to listen to me right now. And if you need to write this down, so be it. Take the time to do it. But you will never truly clean your asshole if you just use toilet paper. You never will. You just can't. You have to use moisture and wet wipes. It's the equivalent of going outside, sticking your hands in the dirt, and coming inside and wiping them with a dry paper towel. There's still dirt and debris on your hands. So let that sink in for one moment. Let's go to the next question. Moisture is the essence of life. Okay, the next question comes from Logan Messiah, who says, I just want them to get Superman right this time. I agree with you. I have hope. I have faith. The new Superman trailer looks fun. It does. It's a little bit different. It definitely looks like it's going a more, I guess, comical, cartoonish route where they can have a little more fun. I mean, he has a dog in this movie, right? They're not taking themselves overly serious, but at the same time, there's a perfect amount of seriousness that I think I need for this interpretation of Superman. So I like the vibe of it. I like the look of it for the most part, and I'm looking forward to seeing it up on the big screen. So yeah, I think that was a sufficient answer. Was that the answer you were looking for? Hopefully they get it right. But if they get it too right, you probably won't see Batman 2, okay? Just putting it out there. Cool Keyboard Commando says, nice jacket, John. Leather or pleather? Oh, man, this is pleather all day, baby. This thing, oh, no, this thing would disintegrate if you looked at it too long. So, yeah, it's a pleather jacket. The last time I wore this was, maybe I wore it for a live stream or something, but I wore this in my, the Batman review I put out a couple years ago, and I was just thinking about it today. I was like, I need to pull that out of the closet and wipe the dust off of it and smear a little WD-40 on it to get the shine. Okay, the next question comes from A-Train98, who says, hey, John, what are your thoughts on the Gremlins films? I like them. Now, oddly enough, I'm a dude who likes Gremlins 2 a little more than the first movie, and it's just because when I was a kid, that's what I would watch over and over on VHS tape, and I liked how Gremlins 2 took place in a big office building that had, like, TV sets and studios, and it just felt like way more variety, right? I don't think it's a better movie. I just think it throws a little more at you, and as a kid, I just thought that was more entertaining. All right, the next one comes from... Wet wipes aren't necessary, I meant. Oh, well, I disagree with that. Okay, the next one comes from, how about I give you a pack of wet wipes and show you how to use them? The next one comes from Gray Wind, who says, what are your thoughts on watching Christmas movies after Christmas? I don't have time to watch Home Alone 2 and Muppet Christmas Carol. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, for me, after Christmas, I just don't want to look at Christmas movies again. I'm like, that's disgusting. It's gross. It's like moldy bread. Get it away from me. And I turn my nose at it. No, I love Christmas movies. Leading up to Christmas, I can't get enough of them. Christmas comes, it goes. Day after, I'm done. Nope. I was going to watch Jingle All the Way this year. Unfortunately, I'm not a pervert. I just wanted a Toberman doll. Yeah, no, I don't watch them after Christmas. You can't. It's almost sacrilegious. You can't do it. It doesn't make any sense. It's wrong. You feel empty. You feel like you're cheating yourself. What is this? But I'll tell you what I did watch after Christmas. I watched the new season of Squid Games 2. Now, I'm only on the 3rd episode. I like it so far. But I'm hoping it gets better. Has anyone else watched Squid Games 2? Let me know. I do like it. All right, the next one comes from Night King 01, who says, speaking of the Odyssey, it's a true adaptation of the poem. It's going to be fantastical. Troy deliberately took all that stuff out. There's hardly any epic battles in the story. Actually, almost none, if I remember correctly. Thoughts? Yeah, I definitely think they made Troy a little bit more realistic. And to a certain degree, I think there's a time and a place to make it more fantastical. And do I think that version of Troy would have worked with a more fantastical vibe? No, I think it was as realistic as you could make it. And I liked that interpretation, especially like the opening. Bulgarius, and it's just some 7'9" guy, and he stabs in the neck and instantly falls to his knees. That to me is an epic story. You know, that's great. It's glorious. And you got Brad Pitt with his spray tan and his abs, just walking around looking all badass. Absolutely. I think Troy is one of the most underrated films of all time, and I will stand by that. But am I looking forward to a fantastical approach to something in the similar time period? Yes, absolutely. Carter Lovejoy says, movies and shows you hope get 4Ks in 2025. I hope Idiocracy gets a 4K release due to who's becoming president again and current events. It's only available physically on DVD and no Blu-ray. Well, yeah, I guess that's just one movie I never really thought to myself I needed on 4K. But there's a few other, like I've said this a million times, but just give me Nightcrawler on 4K. That's the 4K movie I want. But yeah, I'm sure there's tons of other movies coming to 4K. Like Over the Top's coming to 4K, but I think it's like a European release or something like that, or a German release. But I kind of want to get it. And by the way, tonight's beverage is a Ghost Warhead's Sour Watermelon. Now, I like me some caffeine. I like me some sour tasting fruit candies, but I don't like sour concoctions where you drink it for hydration. I think it's utterly disgusting, and I'm really upset with myself for buying this. I don't know why I did it. It's not hydrating. It's just like drinking battery acid. It's like, I'm so thirsty. I want to drink something sour. Tastes like you're drinking the pus from someone's infection. And when you look at it that way, I kind of like it. Okay, let's go to the next question here. Dead Man Walking says, "Hi, John. I've been watching you since 2014, but I rarely super chat because it's 2:30 a.m. where I am, and I'm watching reruns. Well, I'm glad you could catch it live tonight, man. So thank you so much for that. And hey, if you watch the reruns, that means just as much to me, man. And I do read all the comments on the reruns of the Super Chat. So if you ever see something, you have a comment, you have a thought, you have an opinion, you have an objection, or you have some constructive criticism where you want to call me a douchebag, that's okay. That's fine. I can accept all of those things. But nevertheless, thank you for watching the reruns of the live show, man. And thanks for watching right now. Glad you could catch it live. I try to do these at weird different times on different days. I want them to always be a surprise, but I want different people to be able to watch them. Now, if I announce them ahead of time, would that be beneficial? Probably, but I don't know if I'm going to be in the mood to talk about movies that day, so I don't do it. All right, the next one comes from Skylar Wheelock once again. Remember before Amazon parents would go to Toys R Us, beat each other up over fucking sense... John, can you read? Are you slightly dyslexic? Yes, I am. Let's read this question. Remember before Amazon, parents would go to Toys R Us, beat each other fucking senseless over the last Beanie Baby, good times. Christmas used to hit different when parents used to bite each other at Walmart for the latest Elmo too. Oh, I miss those days. I miss them. I really do. I miss going out amongst the unwashed masses and having to decapitate or elbow some old lady in the face to get the last decent deal on the shelf. And that's a small price to pay. Physical violence sometimes is useful if you want consumer-grade electronics at a low cost on a certain day of the year. I stand by that. I really do. But with all that said, no, I do miss those days. I'll tell you what. You know what I did in all seriousness? To calm down for a little bit and not get too angsty with you. Like a few days before Christmas this year, I wanted to go to the mall. Now, I hate the mall. I hate it. I hate it. Okay? If I could push a button to eradicate it from existence, I probably would. But around Christmas time, it feels like that magical, mystical time of the year. And the mall just has the smell of cinnamon and cookies and pretzels. And it's just like a magical experience, right? And there's people, and people are shopping, and they got the decorations. And you see some mall Santa who looks like a guy who just got out of prison and probably shouldn't be allowing kids to sit on his lap, but nevertheless, he's there. I like all of those things. And it's the one time of the year I do go to the mall. Now, do I buy anything? No, I do not. I go for the aroma, I go to people watch, and then I instantaneously leave. But those are my thoughts on the mall. And those are my thoughts on... whatever the question was. Carter Lovejoy says, on a second thought, this will give you more than $3. Well, thanks for that, Carter Lovejoy. You know I love you. You're so good to me. All right. Are we running out of time for the... Oh, we're at 35 of 50 Super Chats. Whoa. We almost made the goal. I'll tell you what, guys. If we get 15 more Super Chats, I will destroy Joker. Even though the time limit may have expired, I will still destroy it. Okay? So don't worry about that. And will I destroy it no matter what? Probably. But nevertheless. Carter Lovejoy, we answered that one. Marcus F. says, it's rumored Reeves is going through a divorce. And that might very well be the case. And if that is the case, and that's the holdup on his writer's block, I understand all of that. I really do. But you know what, man? Life's short. Get over it and write the Batman movie because I want to see it right now. Okay? There's plenty of women out there floating in the sea, or however the saying goes. or you put him in the sea. I'm not quite sure. But there's only so few Batman movies, and we need another one, Matt Reeves. That's what we all need, okay? But in all seriousness, on a sympathetic note, I understand. And if that's the case, if that's really the case, and he needs another year to perfect that script, and for a fact, they're going to guarantee us that the Batman 2 is actually going to come out October 1st, 2027, then so be it. But damn it, that's a long time between movies. All right. Anyway, let's go to the next question. Dom Hill, I don't. So thank you for the question, though, man, but I don't. Skylar Wheelock says, Jake Gyllenhaal recently celebrated his 44th birthday. In honor of that, what are some roles you think he should have won Oscars for other than Nightcrawler? Mine are Jarhead, Brokeback Mountain, and Zodiac. I would agree with you on Brokeback Mountain. I think he definitely should have got a supporting nod for that to some degree, or maybe one. I'm trying to think who the other candidates were that year. I'm trying to think if someone else deserved to beat him out. It feels like every time he would have a chance that there's kind of like a better performance that year. Zodiac, I don't know if his performance in Zodiac honestly would be the best actor nod. I really don't. Because when it comes to his character, he was a good character, but I didn't think he was all that compelling. Like, I liked the story, I liked his character. I think as far as like his character in Zodiac, I don't know. I wouldn't say that was the best performance of the year. But yeah, to completely make it bias and go against everything, I would go with Nightcrawler. Like you said, man, I would say that was one of his better performances, and no one gave a shit about that movie, which just goes to show you Hollywood's all about politics and who you know. And I don't think they knew enough people to praise Nightcrawler, so it was completely overlooked. There's movies like that every year. Look at like movies like Iron Claw, for example. I liked him in Jarhead quite a bit, and that's definitely another underrated movie. If you've never seen Jarhead with Jake Gyllenhaal, absolutely go check it out. I'll tell you another movie that I feel like Jake Gyllenhaal, when he... You know what? I think the best answer here is Prince of Persia, okay? No, but in all reality, do you guys remember the movie Stronger Jake Gyllenhaal made? It came out in like 2016? Was it 2016, 2017? 2017, Stronger, I think that was the time. And like I think he gave a really good performance of a man who lost his legs during the Boston Marathon bombing. But like no one watched the movie, no one cared about it. It didn't get any nominations whatsoever. And I liked that movie. I thought it was a really good like human element story. And by the way, I did see the premiere of that in Zurich, Switzerland, and Jake Gyllenhaal came to that premiere, and I took a picture with him, just putting it out there. We're kind of like best friends. And he sat behind me at the premiere of that, but he only watched like 4 minutes of the movie, and then he got up and left. Saul says, have you ever walked out of a movie? Well, no, Jake Gyllenhaal has his own movie, Stronger, back in 2017. I was there. I saw it. I've walked out of many of movies. I've also fallen asleep in many of movies. I will say this. I went to see Matrix Reloaded with like 4 of my friends back in, what was that, 2003? Was that 2003? That sounds about right. I could be wrong. And I remember we all got up and left halfway through it. I was like, what is this convoluted piece of garbage? Like, I don't care about anything in this movie. And it just feels like it was getting worse by the minute. And people like it. I know, I get it. But I've never liked the movie since I saw it in theaters. Now, obviously, I went back and watched it when it came out on like DVD or something. But I think we all got up and left. Matrix Reloaded. First of all, we didn't like the movie. Second of all, I think we were all really hungry. And we went to like Taco Bell. And then we probably went back to the movie theater and saw something else. And then also Matrix Revolutions, I saw that in theaters and fell asleep. And then I woke up at the end and they were all just shooting at a giant hole. Mech robots were shooting at a giant hole. And I'm like, oh, so this is it, huh? Okay. All this for that. So yeah. All right. The next one comes from But I also got up and left during Transporter 2 as well. I was like, I don't care. I don't care what happens in this movie. I don't care if Jason Statham beats up the bad guys. I don't care. Like, there's just some movies where no matter what the outcome is, I don't care. So why watch this? But I try not to. I really do. Real Steel Fitness says, hey, recently watched See No Evil and found James McAvoy's personality really added to the role. What are some of your favorite physical performances? Well, James McAvoy plays a perfect sociopath, doesn't he? And to elaborate on that, I would also say I think James McAvoy in Split is also a phenomenal performance. I think that's probably my favorite performance from James McAvoy in Split. I think you get a little bit of that in See No Evil. But yeah, another one would be, I like basically anyone who plays a psychopath or a sociopath really gives a good physical performance, in my opinion. Like another one would be, you could go with Christian Bale in American Psycho, where he plays Patrick Bateman. I mean, yeah, he's calm, cool, and has this really suave demeanor, but man, when he's naked, butt-ass naked, chasing hookers with a chainsaw, screaming, that's some physical performance. Or where he gets down and bites Christie's ankle. Quite glorious, and I enjoy all of those things. Why don't you just get a job? I don't think we have anything in common. Those are a few. But if you want to talk about other physical performances beyond that, how about this? How about Tom Hardy in the movie The Warrior, right? I love that character. I love how physical he is when he goes into the cage and he has this certain fighting style about him. It's very nonchalant. I love that. Can I do my Tom Hardy performance from the movie The Warrior, from Warrior? May I do that? May I do my Tom Hardy performance? Okay, here it goes. Nah. You went there when my mother was on her hands and knees in a house without heat, puking up blood on the floor. Nah, you were out somewhere getting drunk. So why don't you take your war stories back to the VFW, because maybe they'll give a damn. And now let's cut to Nick Nolte, who played the father.
Well, it's a real nice thing we did for that boy in that tank, Tommy.
And then they both cry. Cut. Done. Scene. You're welcome. The next one comes from Bastiel, who says, on the subject of toilet paper, I saw Demolition Man in 4K Arrow video yesterday and have a few questions. All joking aside, great 90s Stallone film. Well, are your questions what the 3 seashells in the bathroom do? Was that your question? I have not seen Demolition Man on 4K. Now, I've seen the movie countless times, and I do quite enjoy the joke of how Taco Bell is the last remaining franchise fast food restaurant, which just feels like it feels accurate. Like in 100 years, I could see every other fast food restaurant collapsing and closing, but for some odd reason, Taco Bell will survive. I guess people just have this weird urge to give themselves diarrhea at 3 o'clock in the morning, or at least I know I do. Plus the cinnamon twist, give it to me now. I just want to crush them up and snort them. And the next question comes from, but how did the 4K Demolition Man look, man? Did it look good? All right, the next one comes from Saul, who says, am I the only one who gets annoyed at Warner Bros. When they don't add Dolby Vision to their 4K discs? Yeah, I get what you're saying. There's so many different technical things that, like HDR10, HDR Plus, Dolby, blah, blah, blah. And I think at this point, some of it is a little bit gimmicky. Sometimes I don't even think it enhances the picture quality, to be completely honest with you. Like sometimes I think HDR destroys the image. And I'm just putting it out there. If you want to make, and all it does is neutralize things. Like if you really break down what HDR does, it just gives you it brings out the dark images and makes the brights brighter. And it's, sometimes I think that gimmick looks really bad. Like it looks blown out. But anyway, that's a topic for another time. But I understand what you're saying, man. I really do. Just give me a quality 4K transfer and I will be content, right? Just don't destroy what the original film was intended to look like. Transfer that to a 4K disc. That's what I want. Keep it intact. All right, the next one comes from Real Steel Fitness, who says, have you seen the Netflix movie Ambulance with Jake Gyllenhaal? Well, I don't think it was technically a Netflix movie, though I will. Is that a joke? Because I agree with you. It does feel like a Netflix movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. It's hilariously bad, and I normally love his performances, but in this movie, I found it cringe. Oh, you want to talk about a movie I hate? Ambulance is that movie. We can talk all about Ambulance. Now, here's what I have. I have a question for you guys. And if you're watching right now, obviously you are because I'm... Anyway, if you're watching right now and you like the movie Ambulance, can you just give me some reasons what you like about it? Or if you hate it, give me some reasons what you hate about it. But I'll give you mine right now. Going into the movie Ambulance, now keep in mind, I will preface with this, right? So you don't think I'm some pretentious black and white film noir cultist, okay? I'm not. I'm a dude who grew up in the 90s. I love me a good over-the-top action movie, all right? I love movies like The Rock, Broken Arrow, Point Break, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I love all of this stuff, right? But Michael Bay, in the movie Ambulance, lost his fucking mind, okay? He turned up the color saturation to 120%. He put drone shots in there that had no place, or it made no sense for the story. And then you get this screenplay, which, by the way, I know this was another film. It was like a UK movie or something like that, that they kind of took it and did an American adaptation. I understand all of that. But the movie, even from the perspective of being an over-the-top heist movie, it made no logical sense. You have these guys who are like millionaire robbers, and they want to pull off this heist. First of all, Jake Gyllenhaal is like this rich dude who owns this big elaborate museum that has like classic cars in it. And then he's going to go rob a bank. But then rather than wear a mask when he robs the bank, he takes his mask off so everyone can see his face. And keep in mind, he lives in the same town, so it wouldn't be hard to identify this guy, just putting it out there. And then they do the most convoluted forced plan to get away with it, to where you think to yourself, you're never going to get away with this. Where's the logic? I can't even care about the characters because they're too stupid to care about, so I want to see you instantly lose this battle. And I don't remember a lot of details about the story. I remember they spray paint an ambulance a different color and then they park it somewhere. And I just remember getting really bored with the movie, and the runtime went on way longer than it should, but that's the majority of modern day Michael Bay movies. So, what are your thoughts on Ambulance? I hated it. I agree with you, man. It was not a good movie. So anyway, who am I supposed to remove? Who are these perverts in the chat? Point these perverts out to me. Are we getting more adult site links with emojis? Anyway, I think we'll be okay for now. All right. The next one comes from Night King 01, who says, do you think people are going to have false expectations for Odyssey because of films like Troy? Because the Odyssey has no battles like Troy. He fights his wife's suitors, but the rest of him is versus Cyclops or stuck in a storm, stuff like that. No, I think I think watching a dude fight a giant monster and being stuck in a giant storm is interesting enough, going on this journey of this character for 10 years. I think that'll be sufficient, focus on the man going through this journey. I'm sure they can include some battle sequence in there somewhere, some way. It'll have all the action we need. Just give me the visuals, give me the story, and give me that human element that makes me care about the man on the journey, and I will be happy. All right, the next one comes from Jordan Kudajar, who says, everyone like the stream. Yeah, everyone click like if you want. It helps that stupid YouTube algorithm. You don't have to click like, but it's free. It just takes a second. That's all I really ask of you. That's all I really need. Can you please do it? I'll give you anything you want. All right, the next one comes from Skywalker, who says, did you have your annual Pigeon Lady rant? I think I've talked about the Pigeon Lady over the course of the last month enough to last a lifetime. And I did watch Home Alone 2. And I will be honest with you, just looking at her again made me hate her even more. I hate the Pigeon Lady. Utterly disgusting, a waste of screen time. What were they thinking? Wipe the bird shit off yourself and have some self-respect, okay? Can I just leave? I'll wrap it up with this. The biggest disappointment in Home Alone 2, when they're trying to shoot the Pigeon Lady in Central Park at the end of it, and they can't quite get their fingers on the gun to shoot her because it's too slippery. Oh, I was so disappointed in the Sticky Bandits. That's the only time I wanted to see them succeed. Just get one shot off, shoot her right in the head, she falls down, her pigeons eat her remains, and Kevin Callister can go on with his life, and the Wet Bandits can go to jail for murder and robbing a toy store. Perfect ending to the movie. Done. And I'm sorry if that's a little dark and a little morbid and you want to unsubscribe now, but you know what? If you want to unsubscribe because I dislike the Pigeon Lady, then so be it. That's fine. We can part ways now, but please don't ever leave me. I need you. All right, let's go to the next question here. And the next one comes from Andy Kumar, who says, has Chris Stuckman ever tried to kiss you? He has honestly never tried to kiss me, and I'm very upset about that. I almost feel hurt by it. But the question is, have I ever tried to kiss him? And that's an answer for another time. Let's go to the next question, and the next one is Real Steel Fitness, who says, what are some great movies you wouldn't ever watch again? Probably like Nosferatu, probably, to be honest with you. Like, I have no inkling to rewatch that again. I liked it. I did. I just don't see myself putting it on anytime soon. Maybe in like 3 years, randomly on like one Halloween Eve, when I have somebody who, like, I have a buddy who's never seen it. Maybe then I could watch it, but there's like other zombie or other vampire movies I would probably rather watch. But that's just like the most recent example. There's tons of other movies that would be considered great, phenomenal movies. I just don't have the strong desire or urge to revisit them. I'll tell you, like, here's one. Like, I could rewatch Dune 2, but the first Dune that we got a couple years ago, I don't have the urge to rewatch that. I would much rather just watch Dune 2. I liked Dune 1. I thought it was good. I wouldn't go back and revisit it anytime soon. Okay, the next one comes from a Toy Story reboot with Tom Holland. Okay, is this live action? Does Tom Holland play the child? Who is Tom Holland playing in this movie? Jada Review says, do you like snow? Absolutely. I do enjoy snow, but I like it on Christmas. Outside of that, no thank you. But I do have a new snowblower I never really got to use, so that could be fun. By the way, if you guys are YouTube members, feel free to chime in the chat and say whatever you want. I will read whatever you guys put over there. All right. Oh, gosh, you guys are killing it. Okay, here we go. Oh, you went on to say 12 Years a Slave, Oppenheimer are great, but I probably wouldn't watch them again. You know, I'm glad you mentioned Oppenheimer in your question, in your comment / statement there / question. I liked Oppenheimer. I really did. But I have not had the urge to go back and watch that movie again. I just have not. Anybody else agree with that? Great movie. I just, like, if I'm in the mood for an epic time period movie or a historical movie, that's not the one I'm going to gravitate towards. So yeah, I think I would completely agree with you on Oppenheimer. Skylar Wheelock says, who's a wrestler or act you weren't into this year that you've come now to appreciate now that the year is up? And what has been your favorite pay-per-view of the year? A wrestler that I initially wasn't into, but think they like have the talent. Let me give you a good answer here. One guy I wasn't all that intrigued by was Braun Breaker. I was like, oh, he can barely talk, I'm not really into it. But then I watch him wrestle and I'm like, this shit's intense, man. It just looks like someone's actually going to get hurt when he's wrestling in the ring. And I enjoy that. So Braun Breaker would be another one of those. Ludwig Kaiser, who used to just be like, oh gosh, I forgot his name. The wrestler. Oh God, the champion. Gunther. Yes, Gunther's like sidekick, protege. He's sort of becoming like a really charismatic heel for WWE. And I think if you give him like 2 years, I think he'll be interesting to watch. Like, I like the way he just chews up the scenery. He's enjoyable to watch. And you just want to see him get his teeth punched down his throat. So I enjoy that. My favorite WWE pay-per-view of the year so far might just be night 2 of WrestleMania. But another one that I think I enjoyed was... I like Bad Blood. I thought Bad Blood had a few good matches in it. That might be another one. So yeah, we'll go with those. I'm sure there's something I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. I thought SummerSlam was kind of disappointing. So those are a few. Real Steel Fitness says, I feel like Mortal Kombat has potential for a great movie franchise. What director do you think would be a good fit to direct a Mortal Kombat movie? I would probably go with, what's his... I forget the director's name. Michael Bay. Finish him. There's 75 explosions that happen on the screen. Wouldn't that be glorious? Oh, gosh. I'm trying to... I can't remember the director's name. Give me a few minutes. It'll come to me. Hang on. Let me look this up. Where is it? No. Okay, I'll never find it. But I do agree with you. I think Mortal Kombat would be a cool franchise. Now, they're supposed to come out with another live-action Mortal Kombat movie. Based on the one that we just got, I don't have any faith in it. But whatever the director's name was from Raid Redemption. Whatever the director's name was from the Raid Redemption, have him direct a Mortal Kombat movie. Give me that. Or have him direct a Street Fighter movie. I don't care. I would take that. Okay, the next one comes from Skylar Wheelock, who says, the Sony Pictures CEO says critics and audiences are to blame for Madam Web and Craven performing bad. He insists they're not bad movies. You could watch 15 seconds of these films and figure out why they flop. Studios blame everyone but themselves. I don't know if he specifically said that, or maybe he said audiences didn't turn out for the movies. Carl Urban is going to be Johnny Cage. Interesting. Is that confirmed? That sounds made up. But anyway, I feel like everyone that was in a creative decision-making position for Kraven the Hunter or Madam Web, especially the CEO, they should immediately be fired because clearly they have no taste when it comes to film and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So eradicate them from your company, which is a publicly shared company, because they have no place there. And they're not doing your shareholders any favors because they have no taste or talent. So flush them down the toilet and get someone else in there, because anyone who greenlights that multitude of abominations against cinema, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They just don't. And if you couldn't figure it out after like the third, fourth, fifth attempt at this universe, and it wasn't getting better, but it was progressively getting worse with every new installment, it's like, is this intentional? And if it's not intentional, then you shouldn't be in this position of power making these creative decisions. It makes me sick to my stomach, and just talking about it gives me a gag reflex. Okay, let's go to the next question. You're getting me worked up. I'm sorry. I'm passionate. I get a little too passionate. Let me take and speaking of a gag reflex, let me take another drink of this Ghost Warheads sour, disgusting drink here. Oh. And by the way, guys, we're getting closer and closer, so don't you go anywhere. We will destroy this on camera. So if you want to see the destruction of something evil, don't you go anywhere. It's going to be a bloodbath. All right. Put that there for now. Okay. Faisal Haiti says, I have to disagree. Jake Gyllenhaal gave his best performance in Prisoners and should have been nominated for a supporting role back in 2014. You know what? That's I forgot about that. I can't remember every movie off the top of my head. I do try, but keep in mind, I'm not a cyborg. I don't have an IMDb chip implanted in my brain. I'm just one guy. But yeah, I do agree. I think his performance in Prisoners was a damn good one. I think it was, yeah. I could agree with that. I really did. But I have to think about 2014 had so many other great movies in it. You had you had Nightcrawler, but the Academy doesn't care about that movie. But then you had movies like Whiplash, right? You had J.K. Simmons. You had what's his face. So 2014 was kind of a jam-packed year. Miles Teller, that's who I was thinking of. Okay. The next one comes from X Connor X, who says, there's a site that shows you subbed to someone, says I subbed to this channel since November 8th, 2015, 10 years ago. What the F? Well, man, that's been a long, so 10, 20, November. Yeah, that's a long time. Well, I thank you for that. 10 long years. Where does the time go? I don't know. I really don't. I feel like time, the older I get, the less real time is. It really is. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. However you perceive time is the time that you live in. So if I perceive it at a different rate, then is that the reality I live in? And then we can talk about the matrix theory and the simulation theory. But let's not do any of that. Let's just keep talking about movie questions. That way I can destroy a physical copy of Joker 2 with a hammer in about 25 minutes. So don't you go anywhere. But thanks for sticking around for 10 years, man. And thanks to all of you just for watching. I ain't shit without you watching. Just putting it out there. Nobody on YouTube is. So thank you guys. Pat yourselves on the back. Do whatever you want. But that's a gift from me. Just tell yourself that. Juden Kudajar says, are you hyped for Mission Impossible 8 Final Reckoning? Yeah, Final Reckoning. Also, do you think this will be the last Mission Impossible movie? Yes, I do. I am looking forward to the final Mission Impossible. Now, I will say this. Dead Reckoning was sort of a disappointment, and I loved me some Ghost Protocol. I liked Mission Impossible Fallout, which I love the filmmaking of that. I love the way that they shot the action sequences. That sequence, when Tom Cruise is running along rooftops and he runs and jumps, and he actually injured his ankle, but he gets up and runs after that. I was tintillating inside. Like, I loved that shit. But when it comes to Dead Reckoning, I thought the story of that was atrocious, where they have like the little crucifix thing that, and then you have like AI, and then you have the one guy with like, he looked like George Clooney, but he wasn't George Clooney. And then him and Tom Cruise get into like a random fight on the train at the end of the movie. It just felt so, how do I say this? That storytelling was not up to par where it should be. I think like the story was the weakest story any Mission Impossible movie has had yet. Now, not to say that the AI concept isn't intriguing, and I really think at some point in the future, like AI could essentially take over anything in our lives and you won't be able to control anything. But what really ruined Dead Reckoning for me was every time this AI guy would have a presence in a scene, there would be like a TV screen in the backdrop, and you see like this digital face on it, like it was like from Lawnmower Man in the early 1990s. You have like an evil digital face going, I'm gonna get you. And to me, that just cheapened it and took me right out of the movie, where I was like, I don't care about Tom Cruise running. I don't care about anything that happens in this. The story is so bad, I could not get immersed into it. But I liked watching like some of the action, but I just, along the way, it felt like the action was the focus and the story was like, they didn't even give a shit. They're like, just give me something written on a page. And Tom Cruise is like, can I run in the movie? They're like, yes, Tom Cruise, you can run in this movie and we will do multiple slow-mo shots. And they're like, fine, that's all we need. And that's how it felt. But I'm looking forward to the final movie. And I've heard that they shoot some of it in space, or it takes place in space, or there's some zero gravity happening. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, the next one comes from Avocado Balls Johnson, who says, why didn't they cast Armie Hammer as the new Patrick Bateman? He obviously was born for the role, and his controversial return would make a great promotion for the movie. Nobody in Hollywood has balls. Well, absolutely. Everyone's afraid to take a chance. Let's be honest. You have to appease the most minute demographic who's also the loudest. That's what you do in Hollywood. But furthermore, Armie Hammer has not really had a career in a while, man. After Lone Ranger, it's like he disappeared off the face of the earth. And I know he made some like comments or something like that, or he's just box office poison. But I feel like Armie Hammer's a little too old to play the role of Patrick Bateman at this point. But don't get me wrong, I don't want Austin Butler to play it, though he is. There's just something about looking at him for an extended amount of time where I just look at his big buggy eyes and I think to myself, in every interview that he does after this movie, he's going to talk like Elvis Presley for no apparent reason other than for pretentious reasons to come across like a deep intellectual person, but he's not really any of that. He's just some kid that was on the Disney fucking channel in the early 2000s. I'm sorry for all of that. Let's go to the next question. The next question comes from William Main, who says, missed my super chat, Johnny Bean Flicker. William Main, where is this question? Here it is. Hey, Johnny Bean Flicker, have you seen Memories of Murder? Yes. Well, let me check something. Is that the Korean movie or am I crazy? Yes, it is. Okay. Fun story. I started watching this. I got 20 minutes into it, and I think I had to leave my friend's house to go somewhere else abruptly. And we were sitting down to watch it, and I did want to watch it, but we never got back to it. Now, cut to today, that was like 3 years ago. Or did I watch this? I did not finish the movie, so no, I didn't. But I was going on a slew of a lot of South Korean movies because I was looking for something different to watch, and that was one of them. But I did not finish the movie, so please forgive me. Someone said, Dead Reckoning was great. I don't know what you mean. I meant the AI. I meant the AI guy that symbolizes AI was terrible. He's just some guy. It was really underwhelming. John, please sell Austin Butler hate group merch. That's one thing I could get behind. I'll tell you that right now. I'm sorry. I'll tell you this about me. All right. Let me give you some insight to how my brain works. I'm very sensitive to disingenuous people. If I don't feel like you're a real person and you're slightly disingenuous and I don't buy what you're saying, I instantly hate you. I feel like you're a liar. You're a con artist. Get out of here with that nonsense, and I will call you out every step along the way. And that's how I feel about Austin Butler. When I watch him in an interview, I can just see his eyes darting around to try to come across like this intellectual being. And I just know there's nothing there. And it's so apparent. It's so apparent to me. And whenever I watch him in a dramatic role, I just feel like there's a guy that doesn't really have a lot of talent, and he's just trying to act on the screen. And I don't believe anything that he's doing right now. I don't believe one damn thing he's saying. I really don't. And he's like, I'll talk with a lisp and a mumble every time I talk because this is what actors do. No! You got lucky. Austin Butler is not my Patrick Bateman. But I will say this on a positive note, because we like positivity. This is the internet. And we all like to smile. I will say this. I did watch Challengers again the other night, and it took me 2 nights to get through it. And that's not a diss on the movie. I like Challengers quite a bit. It took a few days to get through it. Anyway, I do have faith in the director of that movie. And I will say this. In Challengers, every time there's like a dramatic moment in that film. All he does is he injects some like early 2000s like club music that you would listen to in a European nightclub, and it elevates the energy levels of the movie, even though they're like not quite there. And I like that. It's a weird balancing act, but I have faith in him as a director for American Psycho. I really do. I think they have a good director for it. I just don't know if they have the right Patrick Bateman. Does anyone else want to see Austin Butler play Patrick Bateman? Yeah, Austin Butler should be like, he should be working at Disney World with like, I don't know, wearing Gaston's head, you know, like that's who he should be. Okay, let's go to the next question here. And the next one comes from William Main, who says, oh, we answered that. Mark Kelly says, don't have a question right now. Just showing my support. Keep up the great work. Well, thanks, man. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for watching, man. And thank you. Okay, Jordan Kudajar says, nothing, but Jordan has become a member. Yay! Screw you! All right. Thanks for that, man. Elliot Cecil says, it sucks that Batman might be canceled after how great Penguin was. Yeah, who knows what they're going to do. Maybe, to me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to throw like $100+ million at a Batman movie you're not going to do anything else with. Call me crazy, but then again, like I said earlier, where I alluded to the fact maybe they transition this into an entire series of Batman villains and Batman on Max, and this becomes more of an episodic thing rather than a theatrical thing, and that could work as well. I don't know. All right, the next one comes from Andy Kumar, who says, can you please use your Morgan Freeman voice to say, no, that's stupid. Nah, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I don't find it offensive. I just find it very sophomoric. And that's coming from a guy wearing a leather Batman jacket made out of used bike tires, okay? But thanks for the question, Andy. Okay, I'll say it. My name is Chris Duckman. Okay, there you go. DJ Run says, if you and Nikki swap jobs for one day, who would do it better? Well, she's a teacher. I'm a dude who makes YouTube videos in his underwear. I think I could get away with being a teacher for a day, and then I would get fired. But then again, I think if she just tried really hard to talk about, I don't know, whatever, she could talk about books or something, I think she'd be entertaining, but I don't know. I think maybe, I wouldn't say better, but I think I could do her job for a day. I don't know if she would want to do my job for a day. I really don't. All right, the next one comes from Skylar Wheelock, who says, there are 3 actors, The Rock, Vin Diesel, Jason Statham, who have a I can't lose fight on screen clause in their contracts. Carl Urban has beaten 2 of them, Doom and Chronicles of Riddick. I eagerly await for his eventual win over Statham. What do you want me to say to that? Sure. Yeah, you know what makes me mad about The Rock and Vin Diesel? It's like you have Vin Diesel, who looks like a bloated baked potato, is 5'7" and wearing stilts in his movies, and he's like, I can't lose a fight. It's like, no, you should be losing every fight. So I hate that clause in their contracts too. It's like, why put them in a movie if they can't lose a fight? That's what makes a character more interesting. It's when they get beat up and they pick themselves back up again. Do you know why we like the character Rocky so much? It's because he lost and we cared about his journey, and then he overcame that. He doesn't just beat everyone up. That's fucking boring. I hate it. All right, let's go to the next question. Real Steel Fitness says, I used to love Tom Hardy and his role selections, but I feel like he hasn't had a good performance in a very long time. I agree with you. It's been a long time since I've seen Tom Hardy in something that I love, and that's coming from a guy who loves him some Tom Hardy. I agree. And every time he stars in a movie now, he always just does the most bizarre accent you've ever heard, where it's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this, Tom? I'm trying. I don't even know what else he's coming out in upcoming. Let's see what Tom Hardy's coming out with in upcoming movies. Tom Hardy movies. Let's see. Wait, he did all the Venom movies. Clearly not a very captivating performance. He was in Bike Riders. Yeah, his Tom Hardy and Bike Riders, man. Hey, what do you want to do about it? You know, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Human beings don't talk like that. Okay, so he's going to be in a movie called Havoc, War Party, Mad Max Wasteland. Oh, that's the Wasteland. That's the video game. Blood of Snow. I figured he'd have more stuff coming up. What's Havoc? After a drug deal has gone wrong, a bruised detective must fight his way through criminal underworld. Blah, blah. Boring. All right. Well, it sounds like a straight-to-DVD movie. All right. Let's go to the next question here. And the next one comes from Avocado Balls Johnson once again. I'd rather see Lady Gaga destroyed with a hammer. Well, she's on the cover of this, so I can destroy her as well. G.A. Knight says, hey, John, my dad and I just finished watching Banshee. Highly recommended. It was also just finished the first 2 episodes of The Sopranos. Any series you recommend? Yeah, I've heard good things about Banshee. So you're on the first 2 episodes of The Sopranos. I will say The Sopranos just gets better with every season, except for the last season, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm going to say things like Stranger Things. I'm going to say things like Game of Thrones. If you've never seen it, that's my biggest recommendation I can give anyone. I don't care what you say about season 8. It still had 7 glorious seasons before season 8, you know. But for me, those are the 2 I always go to. I'm rewatching Better Call Saul right now. So if you've never seen Breaking Bad, watch all that shit. And then you get a whole prequel of Better Call Saul, which is pretty good in my opinion. And I'm on season 3 right now. Ban who? Who do you want me to ban? Who do you want me to ban? I'm not sure. Let me know. Okay, let's go to the next one here, and it is Night King 01 who says, I watched some of Terminator 2 again recently. I don't know why, but I've grown to dislike Edward Furlong in that film. In fact, a lot of his acting seems off to me. I might be going crazy. I like Edward Furlong in Terminator 2. I actually feel like he feels like a real 12-year-old kid. Excuse me, to a certain degree. Promise me you're not going to kill anyone. I mean, sure, he's a little bit naive. He's a stupid kid, but at the same time, if I was 12 years old, he's the kind of dude I would like to hang out with. He feels like a real dude. He's not going to rat on you. He'll commit crimes with you. It's cool, man. Sure, his voice is a little bit annoying and squeaky, but that's fine. So I like me some Edward Furlong in Terminator 2. I actually have a signed T2 poster right over there with his autograph on it. So anyway, Jordan Kudajar says, Better Call Saul is goated, top tier television. Absolutely. That's one series that gets better with every new season. Aaron Taylor Johnson would be cool. As Patrick Bateman, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. All right, the next one comes from Neil McCauley, who says, sucks about the Batman 2 delay. What do you think should be an appropriate amount of time between sequels? Also, is the movie really that great if it doesn't have rewatchability? I think Batman has rewatchability, but I will say this, and I will stand by it, and I don't care what anyone says. There are a few moments in the Batman where I just skip that scene, which hurts me to say, and I don't want to say that. And I will say, I don't think it's a perfect movie. I think it has some issues. I do. I think it has some pacing issues, obviously. But the scene where Paul Dano starts singing Santa Maria, I just have to skip that scene. I think it's stupid. I think it's annoying. I hate the little thing that he has around his neck that's way too big. It looks like you could just take it off your head, so it doesn't make any logical sense why he's wearing this. I have to skip that scene. I hate it. I hate that scene. All right. The next one comes from... Sorry, I was just thinking about that scene and how much I hated it. No, you know what it is? How long do I think a sequel should take? Well, here's my problem. After the Batman came out, it wasn't long afterwards that they announced that a sequel would be happening. And you think by that point, you would probably have a pretty solid outline for a screenplay. And all you got to do is like fill in the details, right? So that was in 2022. By this point, that movie should be in production. It should take you no more than 2 years to write a screenplay that's a sequel to a movie that's already established. Just give us what happens afterwards. We have a pretty solid foundation to work off of. So to me, waiting 3+ years doesn't make any logical sense. It just shows me like a lot of time was wasted in this process. So those are my thoughts on it. How long should it take? A couple years. I don't know. All right. God, there's some drama going on in the chat over there. It's okay, guys. This isn't reality. Let's all calm down now. We can all be friends. Jordan Kudajar back once again says, what's your favorite popcorn bucket of 2024? Probably, you want me to go grab it? I'll go grab it. Hang on. So 2024, I will talk about this maybe at some other point, but there was a lot of popcorn buckets this year. This one looks like a giant pile of poop with a line standing on it, but I liked it. And also it opens up and you can eat popcorn out of it, so all the better. My favorite popcorn bucket this year was the Bat Signal popcorn bucket, which I think the battery is dead. How do I turn this on? There was a switch somewhere on this and I forgot how to do it. I am getting old. Where is this? I'm an old man who doesn't know how to turn on a light. This isn't even a joke at this point. There was a switch on this. Where the fuck is the switch at? Oh, it's on the back. Okay, stupid. Anyway, it lights up as you can see. So this might be my favorite popcorn bucket of the year. I think this is by far the coolest one. And also, check this out. You can eat popcorn out of it right there, baby. So that might be my favorite popcorn bucket of the year. I'll set that back there, and I'll forget to turn off the light, and the battery will go dead. That's a guarantee. Okay, yeah, someone said back of the signal. Thank you. Yeah, it should be on the base, though. You think it would be like on the base so you could just turn it on and off real easy? Call me crazy. Okay. Hey, boys in the chat, stop fighting. It's okay. Just let's be adults. You guys got to kiss and hug and make up, and I'm gonna watch from a distance. Okay. The next one comes from Night King 01, who says, I don't understand Austin Butler. What's with the attempt to try to be like Johnny Depp? He got the rings, the chain, but none of the talent or charisma. Why even make American Psycho? What will be different? I think there's things you could add to American Psycho, because if you look at the Brett Ellis novel or whatever, there's way more in that goes way darker or more brutal that they don't really capitalize on in the live action film of American Psycho. So I think there's other key elements you can include in there, but I don't want to see Austin Butler do it. And I agree with you. It's like he's imitating other people who come across deep and philosophical, but it's like, you're none of these things. You're just a little bug-eyed boy with blonde hair. Stop pretending, okay? Skylar Wheelock says, is it true there's a chocolate factory called Uranus Fudge Factory in Indiana? Yes, there is. Actually, I think you pass it on the way to Indianapolis. So, yes, I believe you're right. It used to be I feel like there used to be a shitty dinosaur exhibit there. And now it's a fudge factory, so go figure, I guess. Jordan Kudajar says, we answered that. Andy Kumar says, do you think Chris Duckman is hot? I mean, he's not my type. A little too tall for me, man. Plus, I'm not really into gingers. Just putting it out there. All right. Don't ask me any more stupid fucking questions, though, please. Thank you. All right, let's go to the next question. DJ Run says, not only did we get married the same day, we're both married to teachers. Do you have any advice when you get tired of your wife complaining about her students? It gets draining sometimes. That's interesting. Yes, I do hear many complaints of how ravenous and crazy children are these days. These little 5-year-olds run around with scissors trying to stab each other. They all have a severe case of ADHD. They can't sit still longer than 5 seconds. And there's an extreme outbreak of lice going on. But nevertheless, I do hear many complaints. And at some point, I feel like I'm like, I don't know what else to say to this. I'm like, I think we need to see a therapist at this point with this deep-rooted hatred. So I get what you're saying, though. I really do. Sometimes you just have to be a vessel someone can vent at. Avocado Balls Johnson says, Game of Thrones started going downhill after season 4. Season 6 and 7 suck shit. I don't think they suck shit, but I will say this. In comparison to 99% of other TV series, I think they're cinematic and epic and highly entertaining. Does the writing go downhill? Absolutely. But we didn't have the novels as source material any longer, so they worked with what they had. But once again, I think they're better than the majority of other shows. I think they're better than the majority of most movies coming out today. So, as lackluster as they are compared to the previous seasons, they're still better than the majority of the shit that we get inundated with from Hollywood these days. All right, let's go to the next one here. Love says, John, I never said thank you, and you'll never have to. But I don't mind a thank you every once in a while. I don't mind it. Feels good. No, you never have to say thank you. Just keep watching. That's all I need. All right, let me refresh this real quick. Joker Face 501 says, John, have you played Marvel Rival? John, do you have a slight speech impediment when you talk too much? Yes, I do. It's because I'm going a little cottonmouth and I need to take a break. But anyway, have I played Marvel Rivals? It's a shooter game. I have not, man. I don't even know what that is. The only shooter game I've been playing lately is Warzone, and I hate that shit. You got people jumping and sliding all over the place. I'm like, what happened to Call of Duty? They destroyed it. So let me take my assault rifle and I'll slide across the map, do a back dive and a side flip, and I'll shoot you from across the map. It's like, what is this shit? I hate it. Skylar Wheelock says, you're representing Patrick Bateman in court, John. What is your argument to help his case? I'll just plead insanity. Those aren't his fingerprints on the chainsaw. He didn't do it. He did bite her ankle. Yes, he did. I think at that point, we just buy off the jury. I think that's the best way we resolve all of this. She was a streetwalker. No one cared about her. She was a lowlife. He's an outstanding citizen that lives on the west side. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Skylar Wheelock says, I still cannot believe we saw the reunion between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader on Disney Plus instead of in theaters. This should have been a massive cinematic event. I agree. When I saw that happen in Obi-Wan, the series, I thought, this is such a waste. Had Disney pulled their head out of their ass and just came up with that concept for a theatrical release film, that would have blown the box office away. That would have been everything we've wanted to see for 20 years. And they wasted it in Obi-Wan, the series, where it just gets, it happened and no one talked about it a day later. What? So sometimes I think monumental things like that get wasted in bad series, and I think that's a true testament. That's a clear-cut example of that. But yeah, for me, when I remember seeing that showdown, And I was like, why is this not in like a new Star Wars movie? Like if you would have just based a new Star Wars movie and made the first like had Obi-Wan come back and told a different story and interjected it there, and then had Hayden Christensen come back to reprise Darth Vader. Like, Jesus, that's all we want to see. Just give it to us. But not on Disney Plus, please. All right, the next one comes from Night King 01, who says, I honestly don't understand how you could take more than 2 years to write a script. I know life gets in the way, but making a film, this is your life. Batman shouldn't take this long, especially when you have 85 years of comic books to pull from. Listen, like I said, it feels like you could have wrote a Batman sequel within like 3 months after you had the Batman from 2022. It really does. Why it's taking so long, I don't know. But then again, maybe we'll find out one day if the rumors do in fact come true. No, if we do get a Batman 2, hey, that's awesome. But part of me just doesn't think we will, and we're biding time at this point. Skylar Wheelock says, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is Citizen Kane when compared to 90% of this year's comic book movies. I hate Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I think that was one of the most boring Marvel movies I ever watched in the theater. I think that, along with the Marvels, are two of the worst movies I've ever seen in the theater. And I'm not going to lie to you, I did partially fall asleep during Ant-Man Quantumania. I really did. I just felt like this is such a filler movie that does not matter at all, but we just keep going and going with it. And I like the first Ant-Man. I like Paul Rudd. I just thought the movie was boring to watch. But I would disagree with that. I think this year, though there weren't many comic book movies, and the ones that most of them were pretty atrocious, like Kraven the Hunter or Venom 3 or whatever, Madam Web, those all sucked ass. Absolutely, they did. But we did get Deadpool and Wolverine, which I did enjoy. And say what you will, I think that's a good time. And I think that's my favorite Deadpool movie. I really do. I think including Hugh Jackman in that movie elevated it for me. I just think there's such a screen presence with Hugh Jackman where I bought the emotional moments, even though it's like a crazy fourth wall breaking comic book movie that's completely outrageous at times. But man, I liked it. It just felt like a nice throwback to like a late 90s comic book action movie of sorts. And plus, man, when Wolverine put his mask on at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine, oh, give it to me now. Yes, please. So I quite enjoyed it. The next question comes from Avocado Balls Johnson, who says, the fat guy who wrote Game of Thrones novels has been blue-balling the fans for 14 years. Well, him and Matt Reeves should get together and say, hey, you want to finish this shit? Let's get rid of the writer's block. Let's go. Let's use ChatGPT. Anyway, he's been blue-balling his fans for 14 years with the next installment of the series. He is now hinting that it may never finish the remaining books. Yeah, what is his name? R.R. Martin, right? Yeah, I've kept up with him writing the next installment of his Game of Thrones series, and as soon as that was written, I knew we would probably get a live action adaptation of it, which excited me even more. But yeah, it's kind of odd. It's like you wasted all this time, you just can't finish the series. And I think he's just afraid to. He knows no matter what he does, he's going to disappoint fans. But I would look at it from this perspective. You saw what the series did. You saw that everyone hated that conclusion. If you just don't do that, people will probably be happy with what you did. So that almost feels like it takes the pressure off in a way. But nevertheless, listen, I'm a dude who overthinks a lot of things. And I get it. I really do. I think sometimes you get lost in your own thoughts and you start thinking about one thing and it leads down the rabbit hole and it's never going to be good enough. And by the time you finally do put pen to page, it's been 2 years and it's like, well, does anyone care at this point? What's the point of living anymore? We've all been there at 3 o'clock in the morning, or at least I know I have. But yeah, man, it'd be nice if he could get off his ass and finish the series, doesn't it? And Matt Reeves as well, man. It's like, man, just have somebody else help you co-write it. There's a lot of talent out there. Have them co-write it with you or something. I don't know. We're waiting way too long. All right. Ooh, I'm a bit tired now. All right, let's go to the next one here. And by the way, guys, go ahead and get all your questions in right now. I think we've hit the pinnacle. I will answer a handful of more questions. However long that takes, I will do it. But then, to cap off the live stream, get ready. Grab your popcorn, something cold to drink, because we will destroy this abomination against cinema. Oh, you're going to pay. Oh, you're going to pay. Okay. All right, the next one comes from Skylar Wheelock once again. You know, Danny DeVito's Penguin and Jim Carrey's Grinch have a lot in common. Both are rejected by society, shunned, isolated, and the towns throw away they put on their mantles. Danny DeVito's Penguin. Oh, yeah, whatever the town throws away they put on their mantles. You're right. Yeah, they're both outcasts and freaks to a certain degree, aren't they?
I'll show her my French flipper trick.
You're right. Yeah, they definitely have the same outcast attributes. Well, that's a fair statement. I agree with you. G.A. Knight says, thoughts on sequels / series being split into two parts, Spider-Verse, Infinity War, and Endgame. Do you also believe Pattinson deserves a trilogy or more? I would have liked to have seen Pattinson get a trilogy. I just feel like the second movie should have been coming out like now, and then the third installment should be coming out in like another year or two. For me, I always thought they should have shot part 2 and 3 back to back. Make that a 2-part story. And yes, I think sometimes if the story calls for it and there's enough and there's so much information you need to get in there, I think splitting something up into 2 parts. So like Infinity War and Endgame, I absolutely agree with that being 2 parts. It made logical sense, and they ended Infinity War in the best way they could. The bad guy wins. I think that's beautiful. Thank you. We want more of that. But then, you know, in the next installment, the good guys are going to win, but there's going to be a sacrifice along the way. So I think if the right movie or story calls for it, absolutely. And that's what I was hoping for with the Batman, but it looks like we're barely going to get part 2 if we get it at all. So who knows? All right, let's answer another one here. And if you guys are in the normal chat and you guys are members or just watching right now, you don't have to super chat anything. Just submit a question or a topic and we'll talk about it. Dustin Rich says, Ant-Man 3 mostly sucked, but I wish Jonathan Majors was effed over and we could get one more Kang. Unpopular opinion, I didn't give a shit about King Dynasty. I actually thought that was really boring, and the way that they started it off, I wasn't looking forward to any climax of that story. I was like, okay, so he has different variations of himself in every multiverse, and they come together. Okay, I get it, but I don't care. And I'm kind of glad, like, I'm not putting it out there like, you know, it might suck with whatever legal issues he's dealing with, but as far as being the next big baddie to go up against the Avengers, I'm okay with it not being Kang. I really am. And I kind of like the direction it's going. It's to me, it's a little more exciting. And you might say they're going back to the well and rehashing things. But you know what? I'd much rather see Robert Downey Jr. come back and play Doctor Doom or be the evil version of himself from an alternative universe or alternate universe than see some other generic bad guy I don't care about. Because at least he has charisma. At least this will add a little more heart to the story. And I like that. I do. I want to see the Avengers go up against basically Tony Stark. I think that'll be fun. But at this point, I'll take anything that's mildly entertaining and competent. Like, that's just where we are. Trash Daddy says The Bike Riders is his favorite movie of the year. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. I think there's like an interesting story with like the Hells Angels. I think that's sort of interesting, but the movie itself, it felt like it was trying to be this poor man's version of a Scorsese movie. And it's like the movie never picked up. And I never really cared about Austin Butler's character. I never cared about Tom Hardy's character. It really felt like a movie with nothing but unlikable people doing uninteresting things. And they're in a motorcycle club. But if it hit with you, I get it, man. There was one scene in that movie, I will say this. In all fairness to the movie, the scene where the wife of Austin Butler is at that part, and I for monetization reasons, I can't elaborate on it, but that sequence where she's at a party and she's about to be taken advantage of, I like that she was saved from that situation. I like the tension in that scene was like really seedy, but I like things like that in movies, so it makes you feel something. All right, the next one comes from Night King 01, who says, have you ever seen Extreme Prejudice with Nick Nolte? It's a great action flick. Clancy Brown and Michael Ironside are in it as well, and it's by Walter Hill. He directed 48 Hours and another film called Driver. Sorry, just had to put that in there. Extreme Prejudice, didn't you mention this on another live stream, man? Let's look it up. Extreme Prejudice with Nick Nolte. Oh, it's from 87. It looks older than that. I may have seen this. It looks vaguely familiar to me, but I was just talking about another movie with Nick Nolte in it from the other day. What is it? Nick Nolte, Martin. It's called like Fugitives or something. Yeah, Three Fugitives with Nick Nolte. Now, Night King 01, is that a movie you've ever seen? Three Fugitives with Nick Nolte? I'm going to recommend you watch that. It's got Martin Short in it. It's got like a little girl, and all three of them play criminals in one way. So I always liked that movie. Came out in 1989. Check that movie out if you want some Nick Nolte in your life. Faisal Hades says, trolls asking you about Stuckman don't entertain. Yeah, but keep super chatting the questions. I just want to answer them, man. Like, I don't mind. It's not that I'm offended. I'm just bored by the question. Kai Nai, here we go, baby. Hey, John. Hope you had a great Christmas. Well, I hope you had a great Christmas, too, and all of you. I hope you guys all had great Christmases. Happy New Year, by the way. Thoughts on Karate Kid Legend? It's my most anticipated film of 2025. Yeah, I thought that looked fun. I like me some Jackie Chan in it. I like that Ralph Macchio's coming back. And they're going to tie it in with Cobra Kai. Not having Johnny in there, maybe they will in a cameo scene or something going forward. That, to me, just hurts me inside. But I feel like maybe Johnny Lawrence will be mentioned or shown at some point, maybe as a cameo. It's like, why wouldn't you do that? But, yeah, I think it looks good. I really do. So I'm looking forward to it. It looks a hell of a lot better than whatever they're doing at Cobra Kai right now. Ugh. All right, the next one comes from here we go. John, what equipment and program do you use when you make a podcast with Crazy Jason back then? Any recommendations? I bought some mics off Amazon that weren't that expensive, and it was a really convoluted way of recording the podcast. I wouldn't recommend doing what I did. Just buy some USB mics, plug them into a laptop, and buy some software that you can record straight to and call it a day. There's another thing I wanted to mention, and I wish this existed years ago. On iPhones right now, you can actually record your conversation and record the other person's conversation. And you could basically call someone right now on your phone and have a podcast and just record the conversation and upload it. And I've been tempted to do that with a few people. That just sounds so much easier. So anyway, that's what I would do. Whatever's simple, do it that way. Don't use like a soundboard and a mixer and all that crazy stuff. All right. Avocado Balls Johnson says, what would you do if Uncle Frank came into your room at night and played with your little jerk? What? It makes you wonder what was going on in the McAllister home. If I lived in the same house as Uncle Frank, I'd probably hide under the bed or sleep on the third floor, and then I would put that inflatable clown underneath my sheets. And then some Micro Machine cars by my door. What are we talking about right now? Okay, I think that's going to wrap up the questions. So would you guys like to watch me destroy the Joker 2 on 4K Blu-ray? I know it hurts. It's gonna pain me to do this. It really is. Now, the question I have for all of you right now, should we do a, can I do this? Hang on a second. Let's see if we can do something a little crazy here. Timestamps, reactions, community moderation, participant. No, can't do that. Can't do that. Oh, okay. Start a poll. Okay. Hang on. Hang on. Drill. Hammer. Okay, I'm going to put a poll right here. And it says, which method would you like me to destroy the 4K copy of Joker 2 with? So all you have to do is vote. You have a drill, you have a hammer. So do we destroy this abomination against cinema and mankind? Do we use the hammer or do we use the drill? I'm down for either. Let me know. Ooh, you guys are getting sick and sadistic. I like it. 57% for the drill. We got a few for the hammer. I'm liking this. Violence is the answer. Let's all just agree on that. That's how you eradicate something from existence such as this. Now, if I could, I would actually use firecrackers and blow it up, but I don't want to do that inside. 61% for that drill. Come on now. I'm going to give you guys a few more seconds. Oh, would you guys like the I'll give you the digital copy after it's destroyed, not before. I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, I'll open it up and take out the digital copy just for some lucky someone. Here we go. I'll let you guys keep voting on which one you want. Oh, yeah. Take off that plastic. Ugh. Smells like Lady Gaga's armpits. I love it. Okay. What are we at right now? What's the poll at? Let's see. 60% drill. I think we're going to go with the drill on this, but in my opinion, we can do both. Okay, here it goes. Are you guys ready? This is what you get when you make a terrible sequel that no one asked for and you sing in your movie. This is Lady Gaga's Eye. Let's see what we can do here. Oh! Oh, it feels so good. Oh! Okay. Screw you! Ah! Look what you made me do! Ah! All right. You must be punished. All you had to do was take over Gotham City and not dance with this stupid lady in Arkham. Hello. Hang on. This is what we need. Okay. 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 Oh, Merry Christmas tonight, everybody. All right. So this is what happened. This is what happens, Hollywood. You see that? I'm sorry that you had to witness that. I'm not proud of it, but I needed to set an example. So let's just close that up. We'll just close this all up. Put the slip cover back on it.
The fucking dead fucking.
Forget. All right, so that's Joker 2, everybody. That's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me end this poll here. Oh, God. I have shards of Blu-ray all over my lap. You know, part of that probably went inside of my nostrils, and Joker 2 is going to be part of me for the rest of my life with microplastics. So you're welcome for that. And by the way, here's the digital copy code. You have to go to Movies Anywhere to watch it. So here you go. Hang on. You got the code? You got the code? Okay, it's going away. I need to destroy that too. All right, guys. So anyway, you want me to autograph it and send it to you? I'll make that a members only perk. Okay, how's that? Yeah, it's. I know you can't see it, but it's literally all over my room right now. There are shards of Joker paper and plastic. I feel like some of it's lodged in my. Hang on. Like, look at that. There's little pieces of like 4K Joker all over the place. I know I'm going to step on it and hate my life afterwards. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the live show. I'm sorry if that frightened anyone, but nevertheless, as always, guys, thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts, your opinions down below. Make sure you subscribe. That way I can see you next time. And thanks for the questions, guys. Thanks for hanging out. And I'll see you with another live show, hopefully before the new year kicks in, or maybe on the same day. I'll see what we can do. But nevertheless, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.